Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Two Beans in a Pod. My name is Jose.
Your boy Jared over here.
I'm back with it at another episode. It's a milestone episode. This is episode 10 of our podcast.
Hell yeah, or episode X, if you want to be fancy about it.
For the Roman numeral fans, of course. For this episode, we're going to kind of piggyback off of last week's episode where we discussed the AFC Conference in the NFL. This week, we're going to be focusing more on the National Football Conference and our opinions on our projections heading into the season. We'll begin with the NFC East, of course. That's the division with the Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles, Washington Commanders, their new name that they just received earlier this year, and the New York Football Giants. First impressions off of the NFC East, off of what we know from the division and off of your own opinion of the division. What do you got?
Okay, well, my opinion, the Cowboys... Okay, I'm sorry, Cowboy fans, but I don't think you guys will win a division this year, okay? At most, second place, all right? Reason why, I have Philly over you guys, okay? Philly, they made decent moves in the offseason. Jalen Hurts, he's progressing, and I feel like he's going to be better than last year, be more productive with the team, and take more control. Commanders, I'm a bit iffy with the whole Carson Wentz situation. When healthy, he can't perform, but if not, we know how that goes, okay? And then the Giants, I feel like they're just having a major identity crisis right now. They don't know what they're doing. So, yeah, I have Philly first. I got Dallas second. Then I got Commanders in third, and the Giants dead last on fourth place.
I feel like it's a foregone conclusion that the Giants are going to be last, and it's no disrespect to New York fans, but like you said, the Giants are going through a identity crisis where they really don't have, I guess, that identity that we speak of. I know Daniel Jones is heading into his fourth year as the starter for the Giants, and I was looking at his statistics over the last few years, and he's been gradually going down in terms of his production. After starting his rookie season, he had about, I think, 3,000 or 4,000 yards or somewhat. I'm looking at it. He had 3,000 yards. His second year, he had less than 3,000 yards. Then it fell to 2,400 yards. He's progressively becoming less productive in that offense. He's also sustained injuries. I know he had an ankle problem last season, also dealt with COVID, which caused him to miss games. So I think the Giants definitely are going to be the last place. I am interested to see how they're going to implement their new head coach, who was the coordinator for the Bills, Brian Daboll. Also, with the Commanders, I'm not sold yet because of Carson Wentz, because of his reputation and what happened in Philadelphia in terms of injuries and availability. He did have a decent year with the Colts last season, so I'm interested to see what he can do with Terry McLaurin, who I think is going to be, of course, the workhorse of that team. He's going to be their main provider in terms of offense. I look at the Eagles, and one thing that I found interesting was that last year they were number one in rushing offense. These guys were the best running team in the league. You look at their team in terms of their leading rushers. Their leading rusher last season was Miles Sanders, who had over 750 yards, but had 0 touchdowns. That's their leading rusher. But then you go down the list and you see Jordan Howard, who provided 400 yards and a few touchdowns. Boston Scott gave him 300 yards, 7 touchdowns. Even a guy like Gainwell, who only gave them 200 yards of rushing, gave him 5 touchdowns. And as you mentioned, Hurts, as our quarterback, is beginning to feel more comfortable being mobile. He gave him 10 touchdowns rushing. I agree with your sentiment that I think the Eagles are going to be number one in the division. However, I never count out the Cowboys just because they have talent. And I think that's one thing people can't, avoid or ignore. They do have the talent. But when you lose guys like Amari Cooper and Cedric Wilson Jr., in terms of their wide receivers, I don't think it's going to be enough to win the division. I'm with you 100%, Philadelphia. We move on to the NFC North, which is definitely an interesting video. And for more in-depth, I've actually released a video on YouTube on what my beliefs on the division and also a preview heading into next year. But in terms of the podcast, we'll focus on this division for now. We got the Lions, we got the Bears, the Vikings, and the Green Bay Packers. And for me, I think this is down to 2 teams.
Mm-hmm. I'm assuming one of them is Green Bay.
Green Bay, of course. This is a team that's gone 3 straight years, winning 13 games, 3 straight postseason appearances.
All right, and I'm assuming the other one is Chicago.
No.
Really? You got Minnesota?
I think Minnesota's got a good roster. I mean, Kirk Cousins, he's not going to set the world on fire in terms of like his productivity or his talent.
Yeah.
But he's still a quality quarterback. He can still get the job done. Plus, they have Dalvin Cook, and I love Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the best receivers in the league right now. even though it's only his third season, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Vikings, but I mean, I do think that Chicago is heading in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
But I still need to see a little bit more from Justin Fields.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'm probably like very similar with you. With Detroit, I just feel bad because it's like they've been struggling, and it's coming to the point where I don't know what's the problem at this point. You know, like I feel like okay, get rid of the front office. Okay, that's cool, but is it still gonna be the same though? Because honestly, I just don't know what is going on. Like I don't know. Like I'm like legit speechless. I really have no clue what the hell is going on in there.
It even gets to the point where Detroit, I feel like, doesn't know what they're doing, and that's a shame. But I mean, you see the list of coaches they've gone through in just the last few years. You have Dan Campbell, who's their current coach, and just came off of a 3-13 and 1 season. Matt Patricia was there. Jim Caldwell was there, who made a couple playoff appearances. Jim Schwartz. You'd have to go back all the way to 1991. Was the last time they won a playoff game. 1991. They had beaten the Dallas Cowboys in the divisional round of the playoffs, 38-6, and since then they have made the playoffs several times. However, they just can't emerge victorious in these games. So the Lions still have a question at quarterback. I think Jared Goff, again, serviceable quarterback. He's played in the Super Bowl, but I don't see him being that guy. He's going to be a bridge quarterback in terms of we had Matt Stafford for Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have Jared Goff as that bridge into, okay, who is now going to be that next quarterback? I'm interested to see what Ayton Hutchinson can do as the number 2 draft pick in this year's NFL draft. Again, another Michigan guy, so he's not too far from home.
Yeah.
I think it's a shame, though. Again, Detroit in a similar situation as the New York Giants, where they're probably going to be the last team in that division.
Mm-hmm.
Focusing more so on Green Bay, though. The Aaron Rodgers situation. Many people thought that he was going to either retire or seek a trade to get away from Green Bay. Instead, he signs a contract that makes him the highest paid athlete in North American sports on an annual basis. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think he's worthy of that contract? Do you think that he's causing more trouble than good? How should Green Bay fans feel heading into this season?
Okay, so the way I look at it both good and bad, okay? It's coming to a point where Aaron Rodgers, he's a Hall of Famer, okay? Like, yeah, they struggle to close out in the playoffs and win Super Bowls, but at this point, it's like, you might as well just get the bag then, okay? But if you want to win Super Bowls, you got to have a good team, and you got to take pay cuts. But it's coming to the point where it's like, they just can never close, so it's like, you might as well just get the bag. Like, you're already on your way out in your career, and on top of that, your best receiver just left, and it's like, no, and on top of that, was Darius Smith. He also left, didn't he?
Darius Smith, yeah.
They also left.
He actually went to Minnesota.
Yeah.
So Minnesota picked up.
I almost forgot about that. And the way I see it, it's like, in my opinion, I don't think they're gonna go to the Super Bowl or at least make it to the NFC Championships. I know it's Aaron Rodgers. You know, he's a bad man, but it's like, again, it's like you gotta have a quality team, surround yourself with a ton of good players around you. Now, I'm not asking for great, but I'm asking for like good, to get the job done, You
want serviceable players, and I do agree with you that Aaron Rodgers is an all-time talent. I think he's one of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen in my 24 years of living. And you look at the talent that he has surrounding with him heading into this season. You got guys like Aaron Jones returning, Randall Cobb, who's a veteran, knows Aaron Rodgers well. But their other receivers is really down to Alan Lazard and Sammy Watkins. They drafted Christian Watson out of North Dakota, University.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see what they're going to do. They still have Robert Tonyan as their tight end, but they're not quality names such as a Devontae Adams who's going to the Raiders to join up with his former quarterback, in college that is, with Derek Carr. Really interested to see how Green Bay bounces back. That's 3 straight years of disappointment where they weren't able to hit the Super Bowl. Not even just win the Super Bowl, but they weren't able to make the Super Bowl. 2 times they were eliminated by the San Francisco 49ers, and in between those 2 losses, they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who would eventually win the Super Bowl back in 2020 season. Since we're on the topic of Devontae Adams, he's heading over to the Las Vegas Raiders. Do you think he had a better opportunity in Green Bay or on the Raiders to, let's say, make a conference championship or even make a Super Bowl?
Well, the way I look at it, okay, on paper, I think he's going to do better in Las Vegas. And the reason why I put it is because, okay, They got a ton of talent everywhere. Not only that, but their defense, it looks pretty good on paper, okay? But we don't know how it's going to be on the turf, though, okay? On the gridiron. We don't know yet, okay?
That's one thing why I'm not really a fan of the and not just you using it, but just the phrase of on paper, because we can't, on paper is such a loose term where you can't guarantee anything.
Yeah.
Because if we're talking on paper, the Rams should win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
But I don't think they are because it's so difficult to win back-to-back Super Bowls.
And not only that, but with me, I also go for team chemistry, okay? Now, I know Derek Carr and Devontae Adams, they played in college, okay? So they probably still got that chemistry that they had, okay? Like, that's probably not going to change, okay? But how is it going to affect the rest of the offense, whether if it's just the running game, the other receivers they got, how is that going to affect them, though, okay? Because let's say one person's getting the ball most of the time and the other's not getting that much attention. Well, if that creates drama. Kind of similar how it was Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel last year.
I don't agree with that. I'm sorry, because if I'm on the Raiders and I'm seeing a guy of Devontae Adams' caliber on my team and he's getting more touches than me, they got to recognize, like, Devontae Adams, he's easily number 1 or number 2 in terms of wide receivers.
It's just what if scenarios, but most likely everyone's going to get along. Because in the end, they all want one thing, okay? And I feel like they have a better chance I feel like he has a better chance with the Raiders than the Packers, in my opinion. Because I feel like they got a team that's good, that can last them for years. While with the Packers, it's like, okay, like the window's closing. And to me, the window just closed for him, so he had to move on. Because you either pay him or you either pay Aaron Rodgers.
This is one of my favorite aspects of the podcast between you and I speaking about sports is, for the most part, we agree on everything.
Yeah.
This is one where I really do not agree with you. Because you're saying he has a better shot with the Raiders. I think he had a better opportunity with the Packers for this sole purpose. The way you get into the playoffs is winning your division. Yes, you can make it through the wild card, but no one wants to settle for second place. They want to win the division.
Yeah.
Look at the division that he had with Green Bay. You look at Chicago and Detroit, perennial teams that are always at the bottom of the division. And Minnesota would give them fights. Now he's going to the AFC West, where he's going to have to see Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. He's going to have to see Justin Herbert and the Chargers. The Broncos just got Russell Wilson, so he's now entering a tougher division. I feel that his better opportunity has just left. I'm not saying he should have stayed in Green Bay. That's not for me to say. You do what you got to do. As an athlete, you want to get paid, but you also want to have the best opportunities to win. He probably wasn't going to be able to get paid, as you mentioned, because they were going to have to give it to Aaron Rodgers. However, his chances to win drastically went down going to the Raiders. I'm curious to see how they do. I'm rooting for, the San Francisco 49er fan in me doesn't want to root for the Raiders, but I do like Derek Carr. I do like Devontae Adams. I'm interested to see how they do in this upcoming season. But I do think that the Packers were his best opportunity to enter the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Speaking of Super Bowl, we're into the NFC South. We're beginning with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who had just won a Super Bowl 2 years ago. They also have the Saints, the Falcons, and the Panthers in that division. And this division is pretty interesting because a lot of turnover in terms of personnel. I'll start with Atlanta, who now have Marcus Mariota as their starting quarterback. They just moved Matt Ryan to the Colts. You have the Carolina Panthers, who just traded a 5th-round pick and I believe some cash. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty there was a 5th-round pick for sure for Baker Mayfield, former quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. Of course, you have the Saints, who lost Sean Payton a couple of years ago. They lost Drew Brees, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who lost Tom Brady for about 3 weeks,
something like that.
And now, they lost Gronk too, because Gronk recently retired.
Oh yeah.
Heading into that division, the NFC South is always an interesting one because it's like a sneaky division. There's not a lot of history in terms of their franchises, but it's always one to keep an eye on for. Initial thoughts heading into the division, and what are your thoughts on some of the quarterback moves that has been made in this offseason?
Okay, well, first I'm just going to go with a bold move, okay? A bold statement. I got the Falcons last. Okay. Right now they're in that point in time where they're still rebuilding. They're still a young team, okay?
Their best player is Kyle Pitts, who's going to be going into his 2nd year.
Yeah.
Oh, and on top of that, we didn't talk about Calvin Ridley, who's missing the season. Was it the season or half the season?
No, the whole entire season because the whole gambling thing, right?
Yeah. So I'm with you on that.
And then coming into 3rd, I have the Panthers, okay? the reason why, okay, like, they can be successful, but in the end, I don't know how it's going to deal with the whole quarterback situation they're dealing with, okay? You got Sam Darnold, and then you got Baker Mayfield, okay? I don't know how that's going to go, okay? You got one who's drafted the first pick, other one who's drafted third, okay?
In the same draft.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know how that's going to work, you know? I don't know who's going to win the job. So, yeah, it might get ugly.
No, and just mentioning that, just real quick before we get into it, they have Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield obviously competing for that job. They have P.J. Walker at quarterback, who spent a lot of time, I believe, in the XFL. And then Matt Corral from Ole Miss, they drafted in this year's draft. So they now have like really 4 options at quarterback. Of course, it's probably going to come down to Darnold and Baker because of the experience. But I just find it interesting that these guys really have a lot of options at the quarterback position. I know you feel a certain type of way about their running back. Talk to me about Christian McCaffrey.
Okay, so I like him. He's a cool guy, okay? I didn't meet him in person.
I was gonna say as if we met him in person.
I didn't meet him in person, but I like his style of play. Okay.
Yeah.
What just sucks is just the injuries, and it just sucks because most running backs, they tend to get injured early on in their career, or almost in their prime, or entering their prime. Okay, and it sucks because I feel like their span of when they're really good is like it lasts for like about 3 to 4 years lately. Okay. Because once you get injured, especially for any running back, especially if it's in the legs, it just affects you big time, okay? Todd Gurley is, like, the greatest example, okay? I think I brought that up last week, and it was, like, I remember Todd Gurley, he was doing so well, then the whole knee problems, and it just wasn't the same, you know? And I'm really afraid that's gonna happen to McCaffrey, because I want him to succeed. He's a great running back in my opinion.
He's definitely a quality athlete and a quality player in terms of players in this league. Just a quick look at his statistics. In 2017, he was drafted. And from 2017, 2018, and 2019, he played all 16 games. Never missed a game.
Yeah.
We're looking at 2 out of those 3 seasons, 2 of them were over 1,000 yards rushing. And in 2019, he had 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving. Unheard of. It's one of the great seasons a running back could have. But then you move into 2020, where he played 3 games. And then last season in 2021, he played 7 games. Only had 1 touchdown to his name and under 500 yards rushing. It comes back to that, the best ability is availability. And in recent years, Christian McCaffrey has not been available for the Panthers, and it has shown in terms of their play style and their efficiency. Last year, they ranked 4th in the division with 5 wins, 12 losses. And I'm with you. I think they're going to improve. Because I anticipate that McCaffrey's going to come back stronger after missing so many games in the last couple of years. But also it's interesting to see their quarterback situation. I personally think Baker's the starter.
Yeah.
Who do you think Baker?
I agree too.
Game 1's definitely going to be interesting because their first game of the season is a home game
against Cleveland.
Against the Cleveland Browns. So I'm really interested to see how that's going to happen. That's going to happen September 11th, Sunday at 10 a.m. Really looking forward to the beginning of the season. But since we're still in the NFC South, New Orleans. New Orleans is an interesting team because everyone associates Drew Brees and Sean Payton, but this is the first season where neither of them are going to be there. It looks like they're going to go with their starting quarterback in Jameis Winston, who had 1,100 yards passing last season, 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, but only played 7 games. One interesting note is Alvin Kamara. For some reason, I feel like these last few seasons, he and Michael Thomas have not been as productive. I know Michael Thomas didn't play last season, but I anticipate having those 2 players come back onto the team. I'm thinking they're going to be good enough to have the the second place in the division.
Yeah. And not only that, but they did pretty decent in this offseason in terms of free agency for the defense. They picked up Tyrann Mathieu, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's correct.
I have them second. They can win a division, but with me, I'm really big when it comes to chemistry. Okay, because you got Sean Payton who retired. Drew Brees is not there anymore, and then on top of that, Michael Thomas, I haven't seen him in action. Same thing with Alvin Kamara, who's been MIA. I have them winning second. They can win first. But the reason I picked them second is team chemistry, and the team I have first is Tampa Bay because chemistry.
I mean, those guys. And it's really a no-brainer. They are a loaded team. You look at the talent they have. They have a quarterback, Tom Brady, was a 7-time Super Bowl champion. You look at their running backs, they have Gio Bernard, Leonard Fournette. Then you look at their receivers, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Scotty Miller, who's emerging. They did lose a tight end in Robert Gronkowski, but they still have Cameron Brate. And then on the defense, I mean, the same team that won them the Super Bowl, basically.
Yeah.
Vita Vea still around, Shaq Barrett, Levante David. Just a real Devin White. I'd be remiss to not mention Devin White. I think it's a safe bet. I think it's the safest bet in terms of who's winning a division. It is the Buccaneers. Last season they had 13 wins, 4 losses. Tom Brady, I don't know what to make of it. So he decides to retire and then calls it off. I mean, it felt like a couple of weeks, but maybe it was even less. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's thinking. I think it's just that competitive nature within him. I think he could have called it a career, and it would be one of the greatest careers of all time.
Yep.
We'll see how it goes off in Tampa Bay. Is he going to win the Super Bowl this year? Honestly, I don't think so. But then again, stranger things have happened, and he has continuously proven people wrong and continues to win Super Bowls. So it'll be interesting to see. I think we both can agree Tampa Bay wins that division. But now we head into the main event.
Oh, God.
And in my opinion, it's the best division of the conference. Some people would say the best division in the league. However, I think the AFC West is really putting up a fight for that conversation.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more interesting to watch, in my opinion.
But the NFC West, you have guys like Seattle, San Francisco, Arizona, and the defending Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams.
Boo!
Okay, see, I mean, clearly one of us is more biased than the other. I don't like the Rams either, but I'm going to give them their props. They won the Super Bowl, 12-5 season last year. They have Matt Stafford, Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp. I could keep going on and on. They have a loaded roster. You look at teams like Seattle, who they just traded away Russell Wilson.
I don't know what the hell they're doing there. I got them dead last. I don't give a damn, okay? I'm sorry if I'm ranting, but guys, I get it. You're going to rebuild, all right? But dang, I didn't know it's going to be that quick. You know, it's like, you guys lost almost everybody. It's like if Thanos snapped his fingers and like everyone just, all the good players just disappeared. They all got blipped, all right?
Some key players for the Seattle Seahawks, I mean, their quarterbacks, it's either going to be Drew Lock or Geno Smith. They still have Chris Carson as the running back. At the wide receiver position, they have DK Metcalf. They have Tyler Lockett. Again, tight end, they still have Noah Fant, who they picked up in that Denver trade. It's I don't want to call it a weak roster, but compared to the years where Seattle was competing for Super Bowls, this is one of their weakest rosters. I think they're going to be last place. It's safe to say. They're rebuilding, and fans in Seattle, it was a fun time with Russell Wilson and the 12th man. Right now, you'd be hard to find 12 men on this football team that are actually quality starters, in my opinion.
Yep.
There's really nothing more to say about Seattle. I don't think they're going to turn this thing around in 1 or 2 years. This is going to take some time. They're going to have to either sign a quarterback in free agency, trade a quarterback, which they already did, but trade for a better one. But then again, it's like, what assets do they have to get a quarterback? Or pray that they have a bad enough season to get a top quarterback in next year's draft.
Honestly, they're probably going to be in the top 5 for the draft.
You think? You think they're going to be bottom 5?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know it's another bold statement, but yeah, I don't see it.
Like, looking at the NFL right now, I'm thinking Texans are going to be 1.
Detroit's another one. They're always
there.
there.
Detroit. That's 2.
Yeah. And you said Houston, correct?
Houston and Detroit. I'm going to go ahead and say like Atlanta.
I was actually going to say that right now.
3. So 4. Let's count Seattle at 4. Okay, yeah, I can see them. Maybe Jacksonville, but I don't know.
That's another one I was looking at.
Maybe Jacksonville. Okay, so going back to the NFC West. We'll talk about another team, which is a very hot topic here. The Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals are an interesting team and an interesting dynamic. And for our listeners that are Cardinals fans, usually they're going to be friends and family. I think people know it's well documented how we feel about the Arizona Cardinals.
You guys are irrelevant.
Okay. So I'm going to try to, get the train back on the tracks here. The Arizona Cardinals are known to get off to hot starts. And we're talking 7-0, winning streaks, setting the league on fire. But they can't close. They can't finish the season. It was quite evident last year in the playoffs. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals Quite frankly, they didn't show up to face the Rams in the wild card round.
I remember that game.
The APB is still out looking for Kyler Murray. And again, there was the offseason drama about he and his contract. I think they have potential to be a competitive team. I don't want to say they're going to win the division, but I think they're going to be like that spoiler team.
Hold on. You forgot about Deontra Hopkins. He's out for like the first 6 games of the season.
Oh, that is right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'd be remiss to not mention D-Hop, who's one of the best wide receivers in the game. I do think it's interesting that these guys remain competitive, though. I feel like they're going to be similar to Chicago in late years, where they're not going to make the playoffs, but they're not god-awful, and they're going to win some games. They're going to play spoiler. I think that's what the Cardinals are. I think that's their highest ceiling, really, is going to play spoiler. They won last year 11 games. I don't see them winning double digits next year.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to be missing DeAndre Hopkins for the first third of the season.
Yeah. No, but didn't they lost Christian Kirk as well?
Yeah, but Christian Kirk I wouldn't say was a big weapon for them.
No, I know, but it's still another receiver though.
It is a body. And speaking of Christian Kirk, that deal that Jacksonville gave him kind of broke the system in terms of wide receiver contracts.
Trent Baalke, I don't know what the hell you're thinking, man.
You have a very, I don't know how to describe it. You have a certain feeling about Trent Baalke because of his time as the general manager for the San Francisco 49ers.
All I gotta say is he's done it again.
And as we await the contract for Deebo Samuel, I think it's a perfect segue into the San Francisco 49ers. Well documented that is our team, and we try to remain unbiased, or at least I do. But the current state of the San Francisco 49ers, it's all about the quarterback situation, which is a familiar storyline that most San Francisco fans can relate to. We're looking at Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance in terms of who they are going to go with as the Week 1 starter. I know I have my feelings about it. I'm sure you have yours. But just looking at the overall state of the team, last season they had 10 wins.
Yeah.
They made the playoffs as a wild card team, and they got as far as the NFC Championship against the LA Rams. I will always continue to remind you that as San Francisco fans, you did not think they were going to make the playoffs. I did, and I said they were going to win 10 games, and they did. I will continue to use that against you proudly.
Well, to be fair, though, we legit almost didn't make it to the playoffs from one play.
So. But we did make it. I don't care. Like, hey, win or lose. You win, you lose. It don't matter.
Yep.
When we won, and we got into the playoffs.
Yep.
So don't give me that. I will take my win proudly. Again, heading into the new season, the 2022 season, it's clear we lost a lot of bodies.
Oh yeah, and not just from the players, but the coaching staff as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel, who went to the Miami Dolphins.
Yep.
We're talking about Bobby Turner, our running back coach, who's taking a year off. Last time I checked, maybe 1 or 2 years off.
I think it was 2 years.
We're looking at Raheem Mostert.
Yep. DJ Jones is another one. And the list goes on.
It's a large list that we hope to keep on a short list, but that's not the case. However, looking at the roster again, it's between Lance and Garoppolo, but our running back room is still, I think, pretty good.
Yeah, I got no beef with it. It's pretty solid in my opinion.
Elijah Mitchell, who will be entering his second season. We still have Trey Sermon entering his second season.
Yep.
Jeff Wilson Jr., a suitable weapon on the offense. I got the best fullback in the league in Kyle Juszczyk.
Hell yeah, man.
Our wide receiver room.
In Juice we trust.
Yep. In our wide receiver room, we have Ayuk, Jawan Jennings. We're still waiting on Deebo. I personally think they're going to offer him a contract in the next couple weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully it gets done, and hopefully he stays with us, because I do think that Deebo Samuel is a pivotal and crucial part of our offense. So I'm very curious to see when and how big of a contract it's going to be. We still get the silverback, Trent Williams.
My guy, dude.
The best left tackle in the game. And also, as we found out the other day, did you want to break the news?
Yes, I will. He was the first ever offensive lineman in Madden history to be rated 99 overall. Okay?
Although it's just a video game, I mean, that's still pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
99 overall. Then you head to the defense, you have guys like Nick Bosa, or Eric Armstead. We still have Kerry Hyder Jr. Linebackers, we have... Well, first of all, I'd be remiss not to mention your favorite player, Javon Kinlaw, who we're still waiting. Last year he didn't play, and he has his own beef with the media. San Francisco fans will know what I'm talking about. Hopefully he has a breakout season.
Same here.
Then we look at the linebacker core, Fred Warner. I mean, that's all pro Fred.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really looking forward to what he can produce this upcoming season.
Greenlaw as well.
Greenlaw.
You know, you can't forget, you know, his partner. You
No.
know? One of the best linebacker duos in the league, in my opinion.
Yep. No, and then, of course, I'd be remiss to not mention one of the best tight ends in the league.
Oh, yeah.
George Kittle.
I'm sorry. No. Let me cut you off right there, okay? How dare you say one of? No, he is, okay? The man can do it all. He can block, he can catch, he can run. He can do it all, man. I bet you he can even throw, okay? Legit.
I mean, you've seen his arms. I'm sure he can throw.
Yeah. Kittle can pancake people like nothing, okay? He is so versatile. He is legit, like, he is, like, the guy, okay? Kittle, if you're listening to this, you're my favorite player, okay? I know it may be something a bit too creepy, but we're born on the same day, you know? And not only that, but, you know, I like Halo, you like Halo, it's lit, you know? I like Spider-Man, you like Spider-Man, you know? Like, we got a lot in common, dude.
Okay, so to backtrack, the reason why I say one of the best tight ends in the game is because some people are going to have their opinions, but I think universally it is accepted that he is among, you know, one of the best tight ends in the game.
Yeah.
You look at teams like the Baltimore Ravens and the Chiefs and even the Raiders who have guys like, you know, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, Darren Waller. I do think that those guys are the premier tight ends in the league. In fact, I believe they all were at tight end university this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's fair to keep it open. I want to say he's the best tight end, but you just look at the accomplishments and the productivity, because that's what I'm talking about, efficiency. Yeah. And you look at Travis Kelce, and it can't be argued.
No, and see, here's the reason why people don't really recognize Kittle as much, and they will give him that credit. The reason why is because last year, the O-line, the whole right side, they disappeared. I don't know what they did. Kittle had to carry the right side, okay? Most of the time he was helping out on the offensive line. Couldn't be there for a lot of passing routes or just any routes in general. He was more focused. Not focused. He was more so needed on the line than on the receiving side of the field.
So I think another way to mention that is Travis Kelce really gets a lot of attention from the media due to his highlights.
Yeah.
He's a focal point of that Kansas City offense. He's going to have to be a bigger focal point now that they lost Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
But you have a guy like George Kittle who, like you mentioned, he can catch the ball. He has amazing yards after catch numbers. But he also does the dirty work, and it's blocking. You know, whether it's pass protection or whether it is the, you know, run blocking. And those aren't really plays you see out on the stat sheet, nor do you see them on ESPN's highlights. And I feel like that's the one distinction between the two. Is it fair? No. But is it factual? Yeah, it is. I think that's the main difference between them. I like where our team is at. I like where San Francisco's at. They just have to figure out which direction they want to go, whether that's Jimmy or whether that's Trey Lance. Me personally, I think they're gonna go Trey. I think they're gonna go ahead and unload with that new offense. I'm hoping that it comes relatively soon.
And like nothing against Jimmy, okay?
No, nothing
Jimbo,
against Jimmy.
Like I love Jimmy for what he's done with us because he made us relevant. Okay, again, okay. You know, before we had him, we had Brian Hoyer, and right then and there, when I knew we had Brian Hoyer, I'm like, yep, this is a dumpster fire. Okay.
I wouldn't say dumpster fire.
Dude, the year before we had Chip Kelly.
He was a. No, we're not talking about the year before. We're talking about with Brian Hoyer, though.
No, I'm telling you where we came from, though.
Like I mentioned, every team is going to go through those bridge quarterbacks, and that's what Brian Hoyer was. We needed a quarterback. He filled in, and like you said, we got Jimmy, and the rest is history. Now we're where we're at.
Yeah.
After trading so many assets for Trey Lance at the number 3 pick in the 2020 draft, I think it's clear. Or excuse me, 2021 draft. I think it's clear he's going to have to start soon. Not soon, but eventually. And he can't build up experience on the sideline. I was a big fan and a big supporter of keeping him on the bench this last season so he can learn Kyle's system, so he can learn behind Jimmy. And now that he did that for the majority of the year, now I think it's time to go for it. Speaking of going for it, we got to move on to the LA Rams. I know it's a team you don't like speaking of, but they are the defending Super Bowl champions, and that's why I wanted to end it with them. You look at the moves they made. Although they lost Von Miller, they got Bobby Wagner. You know, although they lost Robert Woods, they got Allen Robinson. These guys, they know how to replenish their offense and their defense, and with a coach like Sean McVay, who's young, knowledgeable, but also very aggressive in his play call style, I don't see why they won't be contenders again. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I definitely think their name is going to be in there. Do you have any quick thoughts about the Rams? Because I'm looking at you here. The audience can't see it through the audio, but clearly you're not a fan of talking about this team.
Who?
The Rams.
Who's that?
For real real diehard fans in the NFL, you'll get that Aaron Donald reference.
No, so okay. Obviously, on paper, they're the better team. Okay, they can back it up when they talk. All right. I got them winning the division. Okay, it's like this team, they should win a division. Okay, we're not there yet.
I think they are going to win the division.
Oh yeah, they should. They should. And
yeah, but there's a difference between should and
if they don't, that's embarrassing. Okay.
Okay, but what if they get in the wild card?
That's actually embarrassing for a Super Bowl champ. Because honestly, you should win a division if you're the champ. You're the defending champions.
Yeah, but let's just say, for example, they make it as a wild card team, right?
Yeah.
And they outlast whoever won the division. No one's going to remember that.
That's true.
So, I mean, yeah, no, I see what you're trying to say, but it's like, well, we got to wait and see. The state of the NFC, I always have found interesting than the AFC. And I think it's probably because of, our sense of bias where our team and our division is in the NFC. But
for a long period of time, the NFC seemed more interesting. But now since this off season, the AFC just got stacked out of nowhere. I feel like the AFC is going to be the conference to watch more, in my opinion. Okay? Especially the AFC West. Because those teams, they look stacked and loaded. And I think, honestly, I think it's possible they all can make it to the playoffs.
Who? Oh, the AFC West?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's actually a possibility. But you look at the state of each conference, right?
Mm-hmm.
The AFC has younger quarterbacks, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You look at guys like a Josh Allen, a Joe Burrow, a Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. But then when you go to the NFC, you have more veterans. You have guys like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Kirk Cousins. I think you could now put in there. Matt Stafford is another one. I think we can start to say maybe even Dak Prescott in terms of veterans. He's now his 7th or 8th season.
Would Carson Wentz be considered one too? Because I think he was drafted in 2016.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, okay, maybe, but
it's because he missed so many time.
That's
so much time,
yeah. That's what I'm sorry. I don't want to say it's Carson Wentz hate, but it's I'm just not a fan. I don't see it. I'm a big fan of Colin Cowherd on the Herd, and since day one he's been a fan of Carson Wentz. And I'm not trying to bash Carson Wentz, but it's I never saw it.
Yeah.
In the year he could have won the MVP before getting hurt, that was amazing. That was a great season for him. By all means, he helped propel that Philadelphia Eagles team into what it became and how it won a championship. But after that season, I have not seen anything similar to it.
Not only that, but I heard he's not really a good leader, especially how it was in Indianapolis.
Yeah, and that's all from reports. So I mean, to be fair, we got to give him the benefit of the doubt. But it's I have always said, where there's smoke, there is fire. So if those are reports coming out from the team, some parts of it have to be true, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very curious to see how the NFL plays out. Last week we covered the AFC. This week we covered the NFC, and I'm really looking forward to next week's episode. Something I've been planning for the last week. Next week we're going to be talking about NFL What If. And just a quick precursor heading into that episode. For those that are familiar with Marvel and what they do, they released a series last summer titled Marvel What If, where there were scenarios and different positioning of characters in terms of where would they be had this happened, or how would this have occurred if this changed. And there have been many moments in the NFL's and its 100 plus years of history, in terms of different factors and different characteristics and qualities. How could things have been changed? So next week I'm looking forward to that episode, and really like a history lesson of the NFL, but also a what if.
Mm-hmm.
Really looking forward to that. Real quick, just before we do the outro, I want to thank everybody listening to the episode. Appreciate all your guys' support, and again, you can find us here every Friday with our new episodes of Two Beans in a Pod. Quick plug. You know what time it is.
All right, well, first off, I'll let you start first because mine might be a little bit more longer. So.
Oh, yeah, no, if you want to start, yeah, that's fine. No, so you can find me on all social media platforms at JustJose_3. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Even check out my YouTube channel where I upload weekly videos based on the NFL or NBA, just depending on what the overlaying topic is of that season. For example, these last couple of weeks. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. No, so.
Breaking news, everybody.
Well, I mean, it'll be breaking news technically because we're filming this on a Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're filming this on a Thursday, but it comes out Fridays. DeAndre Ayton, say it again?
Well, he just agreed to a 133 max with the Indiana Pacers.
And I saw reports that they were interested, but to now see it happen, is it possible to make room for KD then?
I don't know.
But then what would they give up? Because, no, like,
Yeah, because they got to trade.
who would they trade? Devin Booker? They're not going to trade Devin Booker.
Dude, if they trade Devin Booker, that organization, the front office is dumb. Okay.
So, well, wow. Okay, so, wow, I just got thrown off track with that DeAndre Ayton trade. Was it a trade? Like, yeah, it was a... No, he was a free agent, right?
Restricted free agent.
Oh, so wait, did he agree or...
I'm assuming he did.
Because if he's a restricted free agent, they have the opportunity to offer him something else.
Yeah, restricted free agent. That's what Woj said.
Yeah, but the Suns can't offer that, dude. He's going to the Pacers. Yo, wow. Okay, again, closing out the episode, you can find me on all social medias, justjose_3. Check out my YouTube channel where I upload weekly videos. For example, these last couple of weeks I've been focusing on the divisions in the NFL and previewing this upcoming season. Just had an episode release yesterday, Thursday, on the AFC East, which would be the Patriot and Bills division. Next week we'll move on to the NFC East, which is the Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders, and Giants. Looking forward to that. Again, you can find this podcast wherever you find your podcast, whether it's Spotify, iHeartRadio, even on Podbean or YouTube, where I will also be uploading the audio from now on just to give you more access. And I guess it's your turn.
All right. So, I just released another video on my YouTube, San Fran 5. Yeah, it was pretty much like small highlights and clips from playing Halo, specifically MCC. I was playing some multiplayer games. You know, I was a bit rusty, you know, and you should get that check. You should check that one out. You can follow me on Twitch, you know, twitch.tv/SanFran5, yeah. I'm gonna be streaming tomorrow. Which will be Friday. And then
So that would be later today then.
Yeah.
Technically, because they're listening to this on a Friday.
Yeah. And then of course, you know, if you want, you can follow me on Snapchat at broke_beaner445, you know. That's right. broke_beaner445. Check that one out too. And yeah, I also have a TikTok as well, sanfran5_. So
Have that to look forward to. Again, you can find us on all these platforms and more. Feel free to give us ideas on what you'd like us to cover and reach out. We'd love to hear it. Also, real quick before we end the episode, I just looked it up. So the DeAndre Ayton has this, you know, he's agreeing to the contract, but the Suns have 48 hours to match it.
Yep.
If the Suns match that contract, he'll stay with Phoenix. However, I do not think they will be able to match that contract. That is a big contract for DeAndre Ayton. So Phoenix Suns fans, I'm sorry, you're going to have to say goodbye to DeAndre Ayton.
Mm-hmm.
Until next time, we'll catch you next week where we talk about NFL What If. My name is Jose. This is Jared, and we'll catch you next week.